By far the most important topic of multi-engine flight is the critical engine concept. In short, this is the engine which, if failed, the highest control impairment is induced. In the particular case of the Duke, both propellers turn clockwise when viewed from the pilot's seat. This has very important implications for flight control at engine failure. Before going into two-engine, two-propellers quirks, let's review the one-engine ones. As a propeller rolls to the right, it forces the aircraft to roll to the left whenever it's creating torque. Second, during high angles of attack, the downgoing prop blade will create more thrust than the upgoing one. This P-factor creates a yaw moment that tries to turn the plane to the left. And last but not least, propeller wash will create asymmetric forces on the vertical stabilizer, adding to the left yaw moment. But in the Duke's case, we have two engines that are not on the geometric longitudinal axis of the plane. The right engine P-factor is pulling left harder because of the higher arm, but the left engine one is counteracting that to some extent as it applies left of the rotation point. The left engine slipstream is also adding to the left yawing moment as its corkscrew stream hits the fin. The right engine rotating airstream goes into the free air and does not affect yaw moment. Torque effect and accelerated slipstream add to the rolling left moment of the aircraft. When the left engine fails, P-factor effect increases first because the left engine cannot counter the right engine's left yaw moment. Yaw moment increases further as the left engine is now creating drag, while the right engine has to increase thrust to sustain the flight. This thrust asymmetry is the largest yaw generator in an engine-out situation. And last but not least, we have the rolling moment, accelerated slipstream over the right wing, and the torque effect will try to pull the right wing upwards. If the right engine would fail, yaw moment would be much lower as P-factor, thrust asymmetry and spiraling slipstream would cancel each other out. Rolling moment would also be at minimum because of the low force arms. This is why the left engine is the critical one, as its failing would induce the highest control correction. And while the roll correction is easily countered with two ailerons, the yaw one can only be countered by the rudder. Talking about two-engine control authority, we need to focus on the safe speeds that are pertinent to two-engine ops. The airspeed indicator has two lines unseen before on the Comanche, one blue and one red. The blue line is called VSY. This is the best rate climb speed for an engine-out situation. The red line shows the minimum controllable speed with the critical engine out. This is based on the rudder authority that can still counter the yawing effect of a failed critical engine. Basically, you can still center the ball with rudder inputs. VSY is 112 knots while VMC is 85 for the Duke. A system usually found on dual-engine setups is the prop feathering mechanism. The Comanche's Macaulay prop can twist in a pitch range from 13 degrees all the way up to 29 degrees. If the engine fails and the prop would stay at fine pitch, it would add 50 to 70% more parasitic drag. This is equivalent to flying with a 15-inch radius flat disc in front of the airplane. Moving the prop pitch to course angle, 29 degrees, lowers that drag by 75% and increases glide range. This is a reduction of that flat disc's radius to just 4 inches. On the Duke, the propellers twist from 14 degrees to 58 degrees. Even at a blade pitch of 58, a dead prop would still add 25% of drag to the entire aircraft. But the Duke's hard cell props can feather to 82 degrees. This ensures minimal surface presented to the incoming air and serious drag decrease. In fact, a dead feather prop will only add 5% of drag to the entire aircraft, which does wonders for its single-engine performance. Because the feathering mechanism relies on the 300 psi governor oil to twist the blade, it employs a feathering accumulator. This cylinder accumulates oil at governor pressures while the engine is running, and when it fails, it uses that pressure to twist the prop into the feathered position and get the plane into that low drag profile. Now, what would you do if the left engine failed?
Brace and scream like a little girl. Why? Okay, seriously now. Step on the ball. Identify dead leg as dead engine. Feather its prop. Stabilize the aircraft.
Good.
Oh, you're a joy to fly with. I'm stepping right, so left engine has failed. I also checked that with the low torque light on the prop lever. Left engine has failed. Prop feathered. To release foot pressure, I'll trim the rudder. I have to remember that the autopilot does not touch the rudder trim, so whenever flight parameters change, I would have to retrim. In the Duke, the trim indicator does not move the arrow, as I was expecting. The thin white line above the arrow actually moves in the direction the rudder is moving. Another thing that is usually part of the engine out stabilization is the drift down. I didn't mention it because at the flight level 155 we're currently flying, one engine can easily maintain altitude. These things are monstrous. In an actual flight, I would use the single engine climb rate performance chart to reverse compute the altitude I can still climb at 50 feet per minute given my weight and atmospheric conditions. That would become my ceiling. At current weight, we can easily do higher than flight level 190.
Nicely done.
I also have to watch for fuel imbalance, as now only the right tank is feeding an engine. To make it feed from both tanks at once, I would put the left tank selector to crossfeed. If I wanted to decrease the left tank level, I would put its selector in crossfeed, while the right selector would go to off.
Can you restart the left engine?
Yeah. There we go.